Here we go.
Hey.
Scuba Obsessed, the weekly podcast. We talk about all things scuba diving, from cool new gear, the places to dive, and scuba in the news. Scuba Obsessed, episode 543, is recorded live July 28th. I never know what year it is. Joining me this week, we have Mac, the dive mentor. How you doing today, Mac?
I'm doing very well. Glad to be here.
And then I didn't introduce myself. I'm Darren Gilson, coming to you from the southwest side of the great state of Michigan. I understand somebody's diving, but it hasn't been me. That's for sure. I am so busy. It's like I keep thinking every week I can't get any busier. I don't know what I'm going to do.
I think you can.
It seems to be possible. So, as you can see in this shot, if you're watching the video, my office has moved once again, and I'm probably not even halfway done, but I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable in this particular situation. And I've got too much going on. I'm watching all the lights spin and flash and realizing how I'm choking the bandwidth. Yeah. So yeah, crazy. It's 10:20, which is usually that's about 30 minutes later than normal. We've slipped later. I mean, we've been later, but this is pretty late. And I really wasn't that late coming home, but too much change, too much stuff moving around. So let's go ahead and jump right on into the Scuba in the News. The first article we have up is a scuba diver. Oh, crap. I just realized I didn't do something. I didn't cue these up.
Recording?
Oh, that's another good question. Am I recording? Yes, we are recording. We're screaming. Hopefully we're recording. But yeah, we are recording. But no, I didn't get the articles all phased in. So let me do that. Articles. Yeah, that's, you wouldn't be following along. So, let's see, I've only got 8 mistakes so far. I've got another 12 to go. Here we go. So here is the first one. We got scuba diver dies while exploring shipwreck in Lake Erie. An Ohio man died over the weekend while scuba diving at depths of Lake Erie. The Erie County coroner identified the man as Tyler Cunnan, 31, of Reynoldsburg, Ohio. They give any details? Here it is. He was reported as part of a group that departed from Barcelona, New York on Saturday, June 11th. Divers are exploring a shipwreck at a depth of about 190 feet, roughly 15 miles offshore. Eagle County coroner Lyle Cook signaled he was in distress to other divers before becoming unconscious. Cullinan was brought to shore by a border patrol boat and was pronounced dead at UPMC Harmit. Death was ruled accidental. The cause of death is still pending as of Monday. Well, this is June 14th. About 190 feet. That's getting down there. Outside what I would consider sports diver range, certainly within technical diving.
Yeah. One assumes that he had gear trouble.
Yeah, he signaled distress.
On deep dives.
Yeah. Because it wasn't something so sudden he couldn't signal or alert somebody else. But 190 feet. I mean, yeah, the deeper you go, the quicker something can go bad. They don't say what wreck he was on. 190 feet.
No.
And then the next one we have up is, boy, the dark trend. A man drowns while diving for submerged golf balls in Naples, Florida. A man in Naples, Florida died while attempting to retrieve golf balls from a pond. Father enjoyed spending time with his 3 children and collected submerged golf balls with his son, is remembered as a dedicated first responder, a loving dad, and respected businessman. Nicholas Warden, I'm saying Warden, is it Wardine? 44, the 6th green of Arrowhead Golf Course with his 13-year-old son when he failed to return to the surface. The incident happened shortly after 1 p.m. Friday. Michael Batten, spokesperson for the Collier County Sheriff's Office, told the Daily News. According to the incident report provided by Sheriff's Office, Wardine's son told deputies he and his father were allowed to scuba dive at the lakes of the Arrowhead to retrieve golf balls. The area had 2 ponds that separate the golf course from several buildings. Based on the incident report, the sheriff's office couldn't confirm whether other people were in the area beside his son. The area encompasses several smaller golf courses. Spokesperson for the golf course declined to comment Wednesday morning. It happened and was later informed by his supervisors. Wardine's son added that they have done so many times. According to teenager's statement, Wardine entered the water wearing a wetsuit, weighted belt, dive mask, boot knife, scuba tank, and a net to carry the golf balls. Moments later, he noticed his father was struggling to stay afloat, gasping for air. Wardine took off his scuba tank, but then struggled to remain on the surface, possibly due to the weighted golf balls attached to his weighted belt, his son told deputies. The boy then entered the water to attempt to aid the first responder, but when he approached his father's last known location, he couldn't find him, according to the report. The adolescent then exited the water and called for help. By the time the first responder arrived, Wardine had been beneath the surface for about 10 minutes, according to the incident report. Nearly 15 minutes after the first responder entered the water, divers with the fire department located Wardine approximately 5 yards off his last reported location. Wardine was pronounced dead at the scene. He is survived by his wife, Ruth Wardine, and 3 children. He worked for the Lee County Emergency Medical Services since 2014, was a committed provider who loved and respected his coworkers. Lee County Public Safety is saddened that EMT Nicholas Wardine died unexpectedly Friday while pursuing his hobby during his off hours. His family owns Epiphany Gluten-Free Bakery in the 1500 block of, was it Immokalee Road? Yeah, that's sad. God, could you imagine? It's a 13-year-old son.
I'm just curious why he didn't inflate his BC.
Well, and they said he took off his tank.
That's why I'm finding that confusing if you got a BC.
Yeah, it says Wardine took off his scuba tank but struggled to remain on the surface, possibly due to the way the golf balls. Moments later, okay, according to the teenager's statement, Wardine entered the water wearing a wetsuit, weighted belt, dive mask, boot knife, scuba tank, and a net to carry the balls. So I'm assuming a catch bag. You know, probably one kind of like what we have. And this is,
Oh yeah, big ones.
and they said he's done it a few times, so he's done it before. He noticed his father was.
But I don't connect the freaking bag to my suit or me. I have it on a line with a float.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why you would connect it to your body. Remember what we talk about that?
Yeah.
Never have anything attached to you you can't get rid of.
Yeah.
But again,
Well,
I don't know why he didn't have a BC on.
Yeah. Well, and they
A lot of other questions.
well, right, and maybe he didn't have a BC. Yeah, it's because these are reported by people who aren't divers, so it's not quite clear as to what he have. Because I don't have that he was attached to the net; he just went in with a net. So
And that's one of those that are very hard to discuss,
yeah.
since you don't have any kind of idea. This medical condition, gasping for air. What does that mean? Forgot to turn the air tank on?
Yeah.
Didn't turn it on all the way?
Yeah.
That would affect your BC.
Well, yeah. Yeah. So we don't know, but that's tragic.
Well,
And I'm just picturing a 13-year-old. There's not much more things stressful. I mean, that's going to stick with him for the rest of his life, that he watched his dad, and they went in to try and help, which, I mean, I can understand the instinct, but that tells me that maybe his father needed to take a little bit of time, say, here's what happens if something goes bad. Because that would not be what I would want my 13-year-old to do, is come in and get me.
Well, depends if he had a BC or not.
Well, if he was trained, and what kind of support could he get? And those golf course, he said he had permission, but had he been in this, is it one of those where it's a deep hazard? Some of them, you got the edge and then it drops down quite severely. Yeah, so we just don't know. Hard to speculate. And then
It'd be good if we can find some follow-up on those.
Yeah. Sometimes we get lucky and they'll come back, but a lot of times they just disappear. And this one, it caught my eye. We hear about Santa Clauses and other things in Aquarium, but it says come see the Scuba Tooth Fairy at Adventure Aquarium. So August 4th through September 5th. It's part of Shark Tooth Summer. Your kids will make new magical friend during Shark Tooth Summer at Adventure Aquarium. Introduces brand new Scuba Tooth Fairy. Month-long celebration from August 4th to September 5th will highlight the aquarium's jawsome goodness collection of sharks. The highlight, the new Scuba Tooth Fairy will use their special skill to find and scoop up fallen shark teeth hidden in the sand of the ocean realm. The exhibit, which is home to endangered great hammerhead shark. Are hammerheads endangered? Scuba Tooth Fairy will appear daily at 11:45 a.m., 12:45 p.m., and 2:45 p.m. The aquarium has collected a sandbar, sand tiger, Pacific black tip, nurse, silky white-spotted bamboo, brown-banded bamboo, and epaulette sharks. Adults can add to their children or their own fun by purchasing a shark activity kit, complete with an activity sheet, Adventure Aquarium pencil, shark-shaped pencil gripper. The cost is $3 donated via online purchase at Adventure Aquarium Axe Conservation Fund. Those members of the family who are 12 and older and have an adventurous side, you can put on a wetsuit and a snorkel within inches of the sandbar, sand tiger sharks, and swim with and feed dozens of playful stingrays. Shark and ray encounters are available for purchase online, only limited to Fridays at 1 p.m., Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And they go on. Goodness, how many are plugs? I like these tunnels. I mean, that looks like a cool aquarium. Well, this is New Jersey. And I like that they've taken this little angle. They've tried to come up with something different. And then if you look at the photo here, I don't know if you can see it in your screen, but there's a diver behind him just peeking out from the left side. But I think very well done. A nice promotion. And they said digging up shark teeth. So is he going through the sand like is these shark teeth that the sharks have lost in the exhibit? Or do they seed them? Or maybe they have megalodons in there.
Probably not.
Yeah. So, very nice. Very well. They got me to read it. So I'm seeing this now. You have to purchase stuff online. They don't take any cash. You can't do it there. You have to show them a code and they scan it, and that's how you get in. So it seems to be a trend. Gotta ban money. No more money. Lake Mead. So how much drier
Continues to be in the news.
Yeah, how much drier could it get? Did we cover this last week? I don't know if we covered it on or someplace else.
Well, we've been talking about, I don't know what this one says yet.
But there was one where you see this might yeah. See if I can let the video play while we're talking. But I was reading something and they said that the whole problem with Lake Mead is not Lake Mead, it was the calculation. They overestimated the seasonal historic amount of water that would come in. And why that causes a problem is that's what they use to determine the outflow and what everybody's allowed to expect. So they promised more water than what that river is capable of doing consistently.
One would think, though, watching it go down day after day, you'd compensate for that and not do something like that.
It's all these, we could almost do an episode on it. It's all these agreements that they came up with, like, oh, this area gets this many acre feet of water, and this area gets this, and they promise it, and you're able to cover it when you have the basin full, but now they have no hope. I mean, they're going to have to pass that drought on down. Or not. I hate saying drought because drought is something that's not, is like abnormal or a dry cycle. This, as far as we know, could be normal.
The drawdown? The drawdown at the normal rate, that's why they're losing the water. They just haven't been able to replenish it.
Exactly. Lake Mead has exposed a creepy long-lost boat loaded with artifacts. The footage shows. Video posted by Man Plus River shows scuba diver and treasure hunter Dallas Raleigh discovering shipwreck while exploring the lake. Reservoir is formed by the Hoover Dam and the Colorado River. It's drying up because of ongoing drought in the western United States. As the bottom of the lake becomes exposed, some strange and interesting things have been revealed. Rowley and fellow explorers found the shipwreck lying on the shore in the lake after 20 minutes of searching. So what are they saying? I don't really see anything indicating that there was a... Oops. Look at that. I mean, I see a lot of boats out there. That's really, yeah.
Did you see the picture they're talking about?
No.
It's a video. It looks like a wooden boat.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to see what they said they found in it. They spent 2 days exploring it. They found it. Said the wooden boat was the creepiest thing they found. Still had all the eating utensils, telephone, and plaques in the rubble. So if it's got a telephone, it can't be too old. We couldn't take anything since it's within a national park. It was cool to explore and film.
Yeah, so that's it right there.
Found a bottle of nail polish.
Yeah.
That isn't a lot of wreckage on that piece of wood there. That's pretty interesting. Not sure the purpose of the American flag stuck in the sand at the berm there.
Well, somewhere it said it was like a yacht, like a boat yacht flag, but
Well, it's a not a rotary dial. It's a digital dial push button, so it's not that old.
no. I mean, late 70s would be about the earliest that would be.
Yeah, the video is sort of interesting. It's got a lot of stuff to show you,
Yeah.
but nothing, old. But it'd be fun to find this.
Yeah.
Did you take a look at the video?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, we streamed a little bit of it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool there. Just as lucky not to have found the body, though.
Yeah.
Oh, the other one says a Lake Mead boat discovered was likely used during World War II to survey the Colorado River. Boat is believed to have been sold to Lake Mead Marina and supposedly sank shortly after the sale. I can't believe it's a World War II with a telephone with the push buttons.
Karen's in the chat saying she almost forgot it was Thursday. It feels like it's Tuesday, honestly. I mean, so much been going on. But yeah, so the push button phone, I mean, does that just happen to be trash that landed on it or got captured or part of the shipwreck?
I don't know on that one. I think more exciting, though, is the B-29 bomber. The pictures of that are pretty good.
Have you seen some more of that? I haven't seen anything recently.
I'm just looking at one now from the Daily Mail. I'm curious, though, because this guy's got a rebreather on, so I can't believe it's...
Well, it used to be tech depth. I want to say... it's saying right now it's at 115 feet. I think it was a little deeper.
Okay. Will Nevada Drought unearth World War II secrets? Retreating lake may reveal B-29 bomber that crashed into the water 70 years ago, carrying top secret missile defense system. The aircraft, known as Super Fortress, crashed in Lake Mead in 1948, carrying an experimental sun-powered missile guidance system. Testing it required 35,000 feet ascent, followed by descents to 100 feet. That's a hell of a dive. The sun may have reflected off the lake surface, causing Captain Robert Madison to lose depth perception and crash into the water. The wreckage was initially 300 feet down, but is now just 110 feet following the drought. Recreational divers have been banned from exploring it, but this is likely to be lifted soon, meaning the wreckage secrets could be fully revealed. And the pictures I have got originally were the tech divers, because these guys are rebreathers. This last one here has got 3 tanks on his back. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's been one of those that the depth has been getting more and more reasonable. 110 feet. I mean, they said dives are limited to no more than 60 minutes for divers using double tanks or rebreathers. There's only a couple. I'm trying to think of the term. Not vendor, but there's certain dive charter operators concession. They have to pay for the concession. And I think it's exclusive. I'm trying to remember. We've covered this before.
Yeah, well, in 2002, they put a remote control submarine down, meaning ROV, to explore the record and discovered ropes and light from previous dives. Then later, they had the technical divers go down by the Park Service and found signs of damage and looting by divers. In 2017, it licensed 2 dive operations to lead tours to the site, but demand was limited because of the depth. And this is what we had talked about before. Now, the plunging levels have made it much more accessible and cheaper for divers to go down to it. It said here the Park Service plans to offer a 2-year commercial use permit, allowing guides to take up to 100 divers per year down to the wreck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's not a lot of people that are even allowed to go. So from what you're reading, it almost sounded like they weren't even able to fill up their courses or their charters.
Well, 300 feet is quite a bit. And even as it got lowered at 190, that's still pretty salty, unless
I think
really
once you get past
diver.
that, like the Ann Arbor 5, I think is kind of one of those that's on the edge. Recreational divers can get down and you can get the photo by the props, but you're going to get much deeper. You're getting into technical pretty quick. When you start getting below 160, you're really limiting who can reasonably do it.
Yeah. Key item they talked about is, I believe it's was when they were testing the infrared missile tracking systems. They would put missiles up the exhaust of a combat jet. Basically, what they were doing is working with the Sidewinder. As I said, the missile could be fired at a mile and find the target using heat seeking. And then the other comment that talked about here is, what do you call a 70-year-old missile defense system that's been sitting underwater for 70 years? And the answer, of course, is scrap metal.
Yeah. Yeah, here's some shots coming in. This is a YouTube video from that dive charter operation. Yeah. I mean, the plane wasn't having a good day.
Well, it was intact, really good. I'm looking at the picture of it, and looking at the diagrams and the drawings I made. It looked to be fully intact. It broke probably halfway between the rear wing root and the tail, and it was on a depression in the water in the dirt. So when it went down, it just broke it near the tail section. It'd been pretty cool to dive though back before it got rusted up.
Yeah. Yeah. In these videos, which I'm sure the depth was a lot deeper. I mean, they're properly kitted out for that type of dive.
Okay, here I thought a crashed. The plane skidded into the lake at 230 miles an hour. Was on the surface long enough for the crew to escape on life rafts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why she's in good shape on the bottom, except for she hit that lump in the bottom where it broke the tail. That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
I like the pictures.
That'd be a fun dive. Well, so. Yeah, that was a nice distraction. How about some cannons? Are you up for? Not as recent as a bomber. Engineers discover 19 Revolutionary War cannons in Georgia's Savannah River. I think we've covered a little bit of this. The first cannon was pulled from Georgia's Savannah River surprised the workers for the Army Corps of Engineers, who dredged them out of the riverbed's clay. The next two piqued the interest and brought divers, archaeologists, sonar operators to search for more century-old treasures. Then they pulled up 12 more cannons covered in rust, sediment, and mussels. When experts began to lecture about the discoveries, they didn't even know yet another cannon had been found. By the time the dredging project ended in March, the Corps had brought up 19 cannons to the surface, all thought to be relics from ships sunk during the American Revolution when British occupied Savannah. Andrea Farmer, an archaeologist for Savannah District of the Army Corps of Engineers, said the cannons were most likely from the HMS Savannah, when several British vessels sunk in the area called 5 Fathoms Hole. The Savannah was sunk to block the advance of French troops who were allied with rebels in September 1779. There are historic records of the time period that state it was sunk so quickly that they left everything, the armament, the provisions, pretty much the only thing that was on board were humans, Farmer said. By the fall of 1779, George Washington was trying to organize the offensive against the British along with revolutionary French allies. That October, Americans and French forces assaulted the city of Savannah by land in one of the deadliest battles of the war, known as the Siege of Savannah, but they failed to dislodge the British. The French fleet sailed home before the start of hurricane season. The British didn't evacuate Savannah until 1782. Savannah would honestly look a lot different today if it hadn't been able to attack via the water. Several entities have an interest in the future of the cannons, including the federal government, the British government, the state of Georgia, which owns the water where the cannons found. Farmer said the groups were working on an agreement to keep the cannons in Savannah, ideally on display at the Savannah Historical Museum, aimed towards a window that overlooked the location of the 1779 battle. Army Corps engineers found the first cannons February 2021 as it worked on a $973 million project to deepen the 40-mile stretch of the Savannah River. Engineers had temporarily stopped dredging after they found the first 3 cannons, and they brought up the sonar equipment and divers to search for and recover others buried in the sediment. Conditions did not cooperate. Divers worked with little or no visibility in river water. Sonar failed to detect the last of the cannons, which were found only after dredging resumed this year. To date, the cannons, researchers considered their size, looked at the structural details of placement of the trunnions and bolts, hoping to figure out where they were made and compare them to existing weapon records. Wow. Farmer said they initially thought the first cannons may have been from the sunken Civil War ship, the CSS Georgia. That seemed less likely after the 2 other cannons were found because the Corps had already done extensive excavation of that wreck. Researchers who examined the cannons later confirmed the guns were not from that ship. Farmer said at least 4 cannons were 70 inches long and were more than likely manufactured in France. The other 15 are about 60 inches long. They were built for heavy use, but researchers have not been able to find similar cannons in any historical records. This story is still very much developing. There's still a lot to learn from the artifacts, and through the conservation process, Farmer said. For now, the cannons are sitting in troghs lined with plastic and filled with fresh water to better preserve them until they're sent to a conservation lab. Unexplored ordnance technicians have also confirmed the cannons are not a safety concern, although the water baths provide extra layer protection. It's fine. Just keep them in the water. In its construction projects around the world, the Army Corps of Engineers has a long history of uncovering artifacts. In 2019, during the dredging operation, Galveston District brought a 10,000-pound Civil War cannon to the surface for the Texas City Channel. Paleontologists with the Corps and the Air Force archaeologists found an ancient hand axes while on survey in the trip to Niger in 2017. They go on. So,
I was looking at one of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineer pictures, and some of those are rusted really bad. There's a couple of them that look really decent and good shape, and they're not all the same size either.
Yeah.
Some of them look like full-length cannon, and some look like for the trunnion, where you have it in the stocks. It's almost equal distance to the end of it, to both ends. It seems like in the middle, where some of them have the trunnion, but it's the barrel part is almost twice as long. So those are different type of cannons. They're not all the same at all.
Yeah. Well,
That would be cooler than heck, though.
Well, think of how deep they're dredging this river. That they're getting back to Civil War times.
Well, what, 30 feet? You don't dredge a river deeper than boats that are going to go through it.
Right.
It's not, economic. How deep do they do the St. Joe Channel? Approximately 20 feet, right?
That's what I would say. 20 feet. You wouldn't go much deeper than
20,
that.
25 feet. That's the biggest carrier that goes through there to the turning basin. So you're not going to make it any deeper than you have to. That's money, of course.
Yep.
But that'd be heck to find.
Yeah. So 40-mile stretch, $973 million. A little bit of change there.
A couple of shekels
Yep.
that you're paying for.
Yeah. And let's see, we've got 25 tons of waste raised from the ocean floor near the Greek island. International marine conservation organizations have retrieved 25 tons of waste, including some 24 huge nets from the depths of the sea around the Greek island, Ionia island of Ithaca, and a large sea cleanup operation to protect marine life. All kinds of waste, including 25 large fish farm nets, and equipment was gathered by volunteer divers from the United Kingdom, Netherlands, Lebanon, Hungary, and Greece in the last 2 weeks. Local fishermen also participated in the effort. Abandoned nets are ghost nets, named as such because they appear almost invisible underwater, trap and kill marine animals every year. Divers dug out the lone heavy nets from beneath the sand on the seabed. A barge with a crane lifted the nets to surface and placed them onto containers. They'll be taken for recycling by textile company Aquafill and turned into yarn, used to make products such as clothing and carpet. Most of the waste was left behind by a fish farm that shut down, and according to environmental organizations, Healthy Seas, which have organized a cleanup with the international nonprofit group Ghost Diving. Some 640,000 tons of fishing gear is lost or abandoned annually in seas and oceans. Healthy Seas said in a statement, plastic waste that harms sea life and leaves microplastic in the water that ends up in the food chain. World Ocean Day is an international event to raise awareness over the impacts of human actions in the ocean. It is marked on June 8th. Well, you want to see some plastic?
Large farm fish nets, you got to believe those are heavy.
Yeah, because now when they say the large farm fish nets, those are the ones where they anchor them out in an estuary, and they're farming fish right there off the coast. That would be what you would think.
That's my understanding.
Well, here is a video released today from the ocean cleanup, which we've covered them before. They've got the river interceptors, and they also do the big dredge out in the ocean. And they've actually got a new version they're coming out with that is significantly bigger, because they said the majority of the cost for their operation is the vessels. So what they're coming up with a plan is where the same number of vessels can do exponentially more crash. So they said that when this next version they're doing, if it works out, they think with 10 of them, they can completely clean the Pacific garbage patch.
I'd like to see them do it.
Yep, they're working on it.
You would think if that's true, the government would kick their butts in and help get that done.
You'd think so.
Well, how much does it cost to outfit a ship like that? What, 100 million?
Gosh, I have no idea.
How many ships did they need? They said what? Did
10.
they say 10?
Yeah, they said with 10, they would be
I
able to
can't.
come.
Looking at the picture, you think that's $100 million boat?
Yeah. What I'm showing you here is, I'm talking about a couple different things at the same time. Come on here. I think I'm saturating the bandwidth. So what? Well, here, let's go on. Come on. Come on, you can do it, YouTube. I'm torturing the. Here, let me turn this off for a second, and we'll get it back. Riveting. Okay. I had to kill it. YouTube's like, what? You can't play a video and then record a video. That's not allowed. Erin in the chat room was saying she thinks that the national parks limits the number of divers who can go, and they do. So I'm gonna show the video since we were talking about the other vessel. And the organization's the Ocean Cleanup, which I was an early one to poo-poo them, thinking that there was no way they were going to do what they said they would do. So this is their new Ocean Interceptor. Oh, I'm saying that, I'm not even showing it to you. See, that's the current version that they have. What they're showing here is this is them making the nets. So there's the current system. And now they're zooming out to show the new system. So the volume of what it can do. So this is system 3. It's 3. I think it may be their 4th system. Yeah, they said, well, system 2 has been cleaning the Great Pacific Garbage Patch for almost a year. Our ocean team has been developing system 3, which is a blueprint for a scaled up version. So here's a video showing them collecting. So it's really like a boom with a skim net. Let's see if I can.
So is it the cost of the ship, the cost of the net? And they really don't help us out because they don't tell us how much.
And they may have. I recommend anybody if you're interested in the program, because there's so many people who could just say things, but he's actually gone out and tried to figure out how to do it. Which will bring me to the next video. because the reason we have to clean that is because this is what's going on. So this is a video from Guatemala river. And what they're saying is that this entire river, where the river starts at a dump. So, yeah, just look at these videos. It's sad. This is a river. See that?
We've seen that one before.
From one bank to the other bank is nothing but plastic. There's a dam. Yeah, it's just shocking. And he gives the location, so he gives you GPS coordinates. You want to pull it up on Google Earth? You can. And I don't know if you could see that there, Mac, but right there is the channel. Could you imagine being on a river where the channel just goes underneath plastic? I mean, think of Hickory Creek. This river is 4 or 5 times the width of Hickory Creek at least.
And where upstream is it coming from?
Well, they're going to show in a second here. Ah, look at that. That's crazy. Now they're showing a and what he's talking about. If you could hear him talking, he says, "This is some of the most beautiful landscape you've ever seen." You know, and then you've got this river that is completely choked. And coming up here in a second, they're going to show, while he's talking, people pulling up with trucks and just dumping trash into the river. And they don't think anything of it. They just think that's what the river's for. So there's that same water just goes underneath this plastic. And just imagine when you get a big storm, what happens to this? It probably loosens it up and just pushes it down the river. Guatemala. That's not what you want to think of when you think of a tropical location. And then we know where that all has to go. So there's the mouth of the river, and the beaches all along the shore are just nothing but plastic. That's just all plastic there. So when we go to the beach and we're playing in the sand and surf, I don't think people are doing that there. Yeah. Well, we got links to the show notes so you can watch the whole video. It's only about 11 minutes long, but that's pretty sad.
You would think we'd be able to do that. The ship called the Maastricht Launcher Tug System 001 from San Francisco Bay to the final test site 200 miles offshore. The array was dragged another 1,200 nautical miles to the garbage patch location. System 001 cost $23 million.
Mm-hmm.
If you only need 10 of those,
But that was, let me see if I can pull it up. But that was system 1.
yep.
So here's system 3. So system 3, the length of these lines is 2,500 meters. So that's 2.5 kilometers. And the depth is 4 meters. Let's see if it will show it. So, okay, it's system 2. Let's go to system 1. Okay, I'm gonna show this section right here. So it's gonna start here, and he's talking for a little bit. So, well, there's system 2. So system 2, the length was 800 meters. Or he's calling that 2A. So 800 meters. Let's see. So system 2B, they increased the depth to 4 meters, so it's still 800 meters long, but 4 meters deep. And then system 2C was 1,600 meters, so they doubled the length again. And then system 3 was 25. Oh, system 3, which is the one they're talking about. So they're going to add a third vessel. So what that will do is enable continuous operation. So they're going to tow it out there. They're going to have one vessel come in. The vessel that's leaving, changing crews, is going to head home. Then after 2 weeks, it's going to come and it's going to spell the second one. So every 2 weeks, a new vessel comes. So they'll just do this. So instead of hauling the whole array back in and back out, they're going to be able to keep it out there for a while.
I'm looking at ship. I'll forget the 23 million. This is a very damn big ship they're using to do that with. But either way, 100 million ought to definitely cover that one. You would think, 100 million for each government.
Yeah.
You just gave what, 800
billion.
Billion.
Yeah, with
to
a B.
Ukraine. You would think we could do a little different here on cleaning up the ocean.
Yeah. Well, he seems to have a solid plan, and he's been going.
Yeah.
Let me see if we can go back to their
Well, it seems to be working.
Yeah. Well, and they keep improving. I mean, that's the thing, is they haven't given up. Somehow he's been getting enough money. They're doing the interceptors to try and stop the plastic waste before it gets into the oceans. They're trying to clean up the actual Pacific garbage patch. Let's see Let's see. We're heading, searching for the ocean cleanup. Here we're on their website. This is showing one of the river interceptors. Yeah. Wow. That looked like a vessel that had their name painted on the side. Yep. So those vessels are theirs. Or they're leasing enough time where you paint them. Let's see. Let's see the ocean.
Now, that's a pretty good size.
Yeah, so he said System 3 is 3 times the size of System 2. The entire GPGP requires a blueprint for the oceans, designed for scaling towards a fleet of systems.
Bottom line is it proves that you can do that if you take the time and money.
Yep. And then they're optimizing. They're like, you know, how can I get more, you know, how do I expand it without, you know, linearly expanding the cost? You know, if I can double the size of the system but only increase costs by 15-20%, then that's a good value. Yeah, so they're saying is that with the fleet of the current System 2 designs, it would prove impossibly expensive. The key difference is that with a fleet of System 2 designs require more than 50 systems to fully clean the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, whereas an increase in scale and optimizing overall efficiency of the System 3, our model suggests that it's possible to clean the entire Great Pacific Garbage Patch with as few as 10 systems. That's why we knocked off one of the zeros from the 2 and named it 03. We no longer need 3-figure amount of systems to clean all 5 ocean garbage patches around the world. Bigger systems mean fewer support vessels, which is the main cost driver and the main carbon emitter in our operation. So what they're saying is cleaning up the plastic, they were using a lot of fuel and creating a lot of carbon. We're going big with System 3 to reduce our cost per kilogram. So there's the charts showing the different sizes. Yeah, it says, as we clean, we gain more data on the performance. We can use this data to optimize our systems through the transition. There's our timeline. So we're in 2022. Yep. So they're saying their goal is to completely clean it by 2030. And in 2026, they're going to start expanding to other garbage patches.
Shows it's doable.
Yep. Well, that does it for Scuba News. We took that one out. Karen was saying I was watching a story about the garbage patch, and they said the column of trash plastic extends all the way to the seafloor. Yeah, and that's what's going to happen as it breaks apart. You know, because some of the reason it's buoyant is because there's air trapped, you know, plastic bottle floating. But it gets to a point where it breaks down, and if the plastic's heavier than water, it's going to start filtering down. You know, that some of that flocculant, which is typically an organic material, is now mixed with plastic, and it's going to go in the bottom. You know, we've seen those you know, deep sea diving videos in the last few years where, you know, James Cameron and was it Victor was the other, where they had some of those going down the bottom, and you're seeing in the videos plastic bottles and other items of trash that have floated on down. So.
Oh.
Well, that does it for Scuba in the News. Wow. I'm trying to think of where to go next. Do we I think we talked about the dive club meeting last week.
Yep, but there was a Thankful Tuesday dive that was in the Niles River this week. They had a nice little collection of bottles and the obligatory cell phone we seem to be always getting.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, somebody pulled up an ice skate.
An ice skate?
Yeah, yeah. I think they're trying to discuss where to have the next one. And it's like when I did mine, I put the word out, where do you want to go, guys? And they're trying to get some feedback. And part of it's been, well, Lake 16, back to the river. So it's still up in the air. But hey, we have time to figure it out. And you know the Havana's buoyed, right? I think we talked about that last week.
No, I don't think we did. Or if we did, I zoned out. So the Havana has a buoy on it?
Yep. Amy and Kevin got out there and got it done. But Eric was a significant part of that.
Mm-hmm.
He did a lot of diving, a lot of the heavy lifting. So at least we got the buoy out there now.
Excellent. And then Kevin did message me. I need to get back with him. He said he'd be willing to come on the show, talk about his shipwreck discovery.
Or I should say discoveries.
Discoveries, yes. Oh, and Karen says Jim is heading north on Saturday and will be there for 2 weeks. She's leaving August 5th. If she can get her boat to shift in reverse. Oh my goodness, Karen. I feel so bad for you. It's like that outdrive. Yeah, so people getting some diving in. I'm glad you got to dive for me. I don't know what diving's like anymore. Is that the thing where you take like a mask and some oxygen cylinders?
Yeah.
Oxygen.
You gotta have oxygen cylinders.
Oxygen. One oxygen, one butane. So, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. So, we went kind of long. Did you have anything you wanted to add before we get out of here? Because it's getting late.
Nope, no queue items.
Okay.
This brings us back to the same item. We need to stop polluting and or at least clean up what we've done.
Yeah. Well,
all it takes is money.
Yep. But I saw that Coca-Cola said that Sprite bottles will no longer be green. And they said the reason is they're trying to make it to where they can be recycled. Because currently the green has to be recycled separately. So they're saying if they just make all their bottles clear, then they're much more recyclable.
And harder to find.
Harder to find. So. Okay, well, thank you everybody who's been listening. Yeah, Karen says the lower unit needs to be dropped and tweaked a bit. Hopefully they get that in and get it tuned up and you can have a few years of
good use.
Good use. Yeah, I was going to say trouble-free, but that doesn't go with boat. Boats really don't get...
You're chomping at the bit to get out there and look for that aircraft, that PV-2 Neptune.
Aircraft.
There it is anyway, I'm sure.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go ahead and close this one up. Are you ready?
Yes, sir. Sitting down.
Okay. A man goes into a pet shop to buy a parrot. The shop owner points at 3 identical-looking parrots on a perch and says, the parrot on the left cost $500. Why does the parrot cost so much, asks the man. Well, the owner says, well, the parrot knows how to use a computer. The man then asks about the next parrot and learns that it costs $1,000 because it can do everything the first parrot can do, plus it knows how to use the Unix operating system. Naturally, the increasingly startled man asks about the third parrot, only to be told it costs $2,000. Needless to say, this begs the question, what can it do? To which the owner replies, to be honest, I've never seen it do anything, but the other two call him boss.
That's pretty good.
So, on that note, go out there and get wet.
And stay safe. That's another good one. Don't know what he does. Call the boss.